Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Now, if you do keep up with my community posts, you'll be aware that I put out a couple of surveys recently to just try and work out the best timing for my normal schedule, because I've been doing it every 3 days and I was a little bit concerned I was doing too much because views were sort of dropping off a bit. And pretty much the feedback I got back was it wasn't so much that at all. It was, they like the frequency. You as a collective like the frequency. It's just maybe the topics and mix them up a bit where possible. But there's still a very strong, I think, emphasis with the collective around the sort of spiritual and self-development topics I generally do. So I went, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one every 3 days and then one every 4 days and then one every 3 days and one every 4 days, which actually means that the main schedule will publish twice a week and on the same days, which hopefully helps for consistency. But every once in a while, I'm going to do an extra one and probably put it in between the days between the where there's the 4-day break more often than not. Though it might depend on when the astrological energy sort of falls and so forth if I'm doing astrology. And I asked for what topics to do. And there are a variety, but one of the things that people seem very interested in was major astrological transits, moon transits, that kind of thing, as a pick a card. Because I asked the collective, but that wasn't so popular. So I went through and had a look at some of the major transits for 2025 as a starting point, noted down all the full moons and new moons. And I'm not going to promise to do every full moon and new moon. We're starting with the full moon in Leo on the 12th, February the 12th, 24.06 degrees of Leo, as a starting point, because I felt like a really strong positive energy from that particular full moon that we could focus on. But I won't necessarily do all those because I'm probably only going to do one or two of these a month as additional ones, when I feel drawn to it. And it's not always going to be astrology. Sometimes it might be a relationship reading, or it might be something that's just fun over the sort of categories that people are interested in to a greater or lesser extent. So I won't always do it. I'll probably do any supermoons. I'll probably do eclipses, generally speaking. But we'll just see. We'll see how it plays out. But this is the first one, and of what I would call the additional astrology ones. And as I say in the description box, this is kind of time specific as a basic thing. To see it around the time of the full moon is ideal. Having said that, if you've come across this, like 6 months later or a year later, I think what's happening is that Spirit's indicating to you there's a similar personal transit going on that has a similar energy to what this full moon in Leo brings, but for you it may be some other transit in your chart. So it will still be about the kind of topic. You will be at a stage in your life where there is an achievement or something to harvest or something to close out with a sense of satisfaction, and that you can be proud about and that you can display to others. Because that feels to me the energy of this particular full moon. So there's nothing to preclude you watching it at a different time, but by and large these will be quite time specific in the terms of when they're published and all of that kind of thing. So this is the first of those, and it's a full moon one, as I say, for the full moon in Leo on the 12th of February. And the other thing that I'm going to just note too, just in the introduction, for those who listen to the introduction, one of the there's a particular deck that I'm going to use in any of these astrology ones, just because it amuses me to do it and because I think it will be really add to the value of the reading. If people watch my deck creator series, the very first person that I interviewed, Lewis, who created the Mercury Oracle on Kickstarter, it's had a rather long gestation period, let's put it that way, but it's now out in the world and I have my copy. And at some stage in the not too distant future, hopefully, Lewis Neef, so Neef and I will do a collab, both using the deck, a collab pick a card. So that'll happen at some point, really showcasing it. But I felt like, why not let Mercury, through the Mercury Oracle, have a bit of a say in any astrology reading, because I'm very connected to Mercury. People probably recognise the kind of sigil that I have is essentially just the planet Mercury with a seeing eye looking through it, because to me that says seeing through communication, and that's been a kind of sigil I've had since I was early adolescent. So I feel very connected to to Mercury. So I just think I'm going to use that. It's a really interesting system. I'm getting my head around it. It's really, really new and fascinating. So you'll get to see a little bit of that in this reading and in any of the other astrology readings that I do of this nature. So just thought I'd let you know that if you're sort of someone who's been following along the Deck Creator interviews and so forth, I now have the Mercury Oracle. So that's a fairly lengthy introduction. The rest of this should be pretty simple. We're just going to be looking at this energy for you. And because it's in Leo, which to me is something we can display and be proud of, Leo is bright and dramatic and performative and proud. I thought the energy of a full moon is what can you harvest now? What have you achieved now? What can you close out now that you can be particularly proud of and demonstrate that pride really, because Leo is demonstrative. It's not sort of like shy and retiring. So that kind of energy. And I'm using 3 different tarot decks to help with the choice. But the thing that's interesting in this one, I have to say, is that what I ask Spirit, which I always do when I use the different tarot decks, is for a major arcana card, the first major arcana card I deal out from the deck, to give us a bit of an energy of the reading to help with the choice. And pile 1, which is the Red Rose Tarot, and pile 2, which is the highly sensitive Heartlight Edition Tarot, both came out with the Chariot. So I think that's really interesting about the kind of dynamism and energy of this particular full moon. I started to wonder if the third pile 3, which has the Indie Tarot, was going to do that as well. But instead we got the Wheel of Fortune. But to me, there is actually a synergy across all of that. There is a very dynamic feeling here. There is also the sense of things moving fast with the Wheel of Fortune, because the Wheel of Fortune moves up and then it moves down. So I do think there's something going to be across all these readings that is about a dynamic energy. Whatever you have achieved and can celebrate now is a dynamic stepping off point for something else, I would say. So with that said, as I say, pile 1, the Chariot, the Red Rose Tarot, pile 2, the Chariot, the highly sensitive Heartlight Edition, pile 3, the Wheel of Fortune, the Indie Tarot. If you want to go to more than one, go to more than one. There might be some synergy between those two, given the same major arcana card, but I don't know. I won't know until I've done the reading. But you do you. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. Now, what I didn't say in the introduction was that underneath the major arcana card to help with the choice, there were 2 other cards from the deck. I didn't know what they were. This is to give me a bit of an idea of the overall energy that this full moon in Leo is bringing to you and how it relates to what you can claim as an achievement, celebrate as an achievement, all of that kind of thing, be proud of. So as I say, with the Chariot, there's certainly a sense of dynamism with this. It interests me. I mean, it's obviously the same deck, but it interests me the way that the Chariot is portrayed here, given that we have the High Priestess, because there's something almost mysterious about this Chariot, because you can't see the rider. Like they're sort of hidden away in what appears to be some sort of like a carriage. So, and there's not a rider doing it. So the thing that makes me think is that there's something quite hidden, whatever this is, because this is with Leo, it's kind of being able to celebrate it and show it. The thing that it's about is quite mysterious, and I think has very spiritual probably, and probably has been hidden. Or it might be you coming to understand something that was hidden. Like you kind of almost, if you think about a chariot which had, the kind of carriage with it, the carriages in those days tended to be, at the very least, having passengers, like paid passengers or whatever, but often very powerful people, often very wealthy people. So there could be a sense of, I think, self-direction, because we've got the 9 of Pentacles there, and that is material stability, the self-made person, all of that kind of thing. So doesn't need somebody to be directing the horses. It's just the carriage, self-made but hidden in some way, or keeping it hidden, or you've learnt something that was otherwise seen as hidden. Now that could be just achieving some sort of graduation from a university course or something. And I'm not meaning like just as though that's nothing, but what I'm saying is that it could be that you have learnt stuff that was hidden from the general populace, in as much as people would actually have to go and research it to understand it. But it may also be that you have got to a point where you've elevated yourself materially, And you can almost, because I feel this is like a stepping off point when you've got the Chariot. There's a kind of sense of destiny about it and a sense of the next step, having brought things into balance. Maybe this is that you've achieved a certain degree of sort of like esoteric sort of knowledge that connects to your material stability, so that you can now really consider and approach your destiny or what you want to do with it, or the next step. So I feel like for you, it's knowing something. I think it's having learnt or known something that does give you material stability, or promises if you follow that direction, you will get material stability. But it is something that's a bit hidden. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see what area of life, using the Akashic Truth Oracle, what area of life we're talking about that this achievement is happening. And as I say, I think what might be seen for you is the financial independence, or sort of like something that is promising that coming, because there is something showy about Leo. So there is that sort of sense that this is something that you would celebrate and people would see, but there's a lot that's hidden about it as well. It's in the area of friends and family. Okay, so it may be something like you've learnt something about your family, your ancestral line, or something that allows you to understand what you can do. It could be about um, learning who amongst friends could work with you towards material wealth. It could be something like some sort of hidden history that you've understood about your family, and about how that positions you kind of magically. Like, I feel like those two together have a kind of manifestation energy, a magical manifestation energy. We will get some advice around this, because, even though we're looking at what you're achieving, there is always advice about the next step. So we'll just sort of see what the Akashic Truth Oracle wants to say. If there's something around, it could be that you've achieved something in comparison to your friends and family, or it could be that you've understood, learnt something about that gets towards your independence. It could also be that you've somehow graduated to the point that you separate out from that and you're standing on your own 2 feet. But let's just see what the advice is. Discovery. See there's something about learning something with this. It says, new ideas, people, or opportunities may be coming your way. While there is still work to do to reach your goal, you may discover new strengths and passions along the way. So I think you already have. I think what this is saying is that the work that you've done on yourself and your understanding, and it could go back to things like ancestral stuff or family patterns, but otherwise it could just be something that you've studied, looked into, learned and mastered, that is going to help you materially, is bringing, I would say, new friends in particular in. So I think there's sort of something about very deep private work that you've done on yourself that has elevated you materially in some way, is going to bring in more opportunities through more people. So that's interesting. So let's get tarot, and we're going to ask a bit more about what you've achieved, just to kind of clarify this a bit more. Then we're going to see what lessons did getting there teach you that are useful, and then what new energy are you sort of like finding is available as a result of this. So a little bit more about this achievement that you can celebrate now. Knight of Swords reversed, Queen of Cups, 7 of Cups, Ace of Swords, 5 of Pentacles. Okay, there's definitely something here. Like, there's a little bit of a contradiction here. So I think it's and it might be why you chose the Chariot, because the Chariot is movement, it's change and all that kind of thing. So like, it's like, yes, there is something you're harvesting here, but it is in the service of moving forward, because we've now got, if we're talking about material things, we've got the 2 cards that in terms of connection to others, and we have friends and family, are more about independence. So I feel that there's something here about having discovered a secret, or your own power within, or whatever, that has separated you out from others. I feel like it's separating out from maybe the karma or the responsibility or the support of, or whatever it might be, of family. Because I do also think, as I say, that with this, the energy that the Akashic Truth Oracle is talking about, there's also, it's taking you towards new friends, new connections and so forth. This doesn't mean that you have to cut your family out completely, but it feels like either you're at that stage in your life where you're having less to do with your sort of birth family and more to do with what your direction is, Or if you are well past that, there's something in your family line which you have understood and processed and let go of so you could be more independent. But it brings in material stuff and it brings in a new idea that shifts any kind of material block. So I suspect that whatever the sort of family aspect is, it might have been a belief structure, something like that, that stopped you from truly manifesting what you could. So there's like a new energy of, aha, I understand it now coming in. As a result, the block of the energy that slowed you down is going to lift. Like we move from the Knight of Swords reversed to the Ace of Swords upright. It's like that aha moment. It's a very emotional one though, with the Queen of Cups. I feel like that's like a Scorpio card. That's like a Pisces card. It can also be a Virgo card. So it's a little bit of like the integration manifestation energy as well. But I feel like this is a very deep-seated sort of psychic spiritual understanding of the possibilities that are coming through for you. If you're looking for love or something like that, I mean, it's friends and family rather than sort of romance or whatever, but there is a possibility here that it's a understanding of self and your direction separated out from the expectations of others. But whatever it is, the sort of contradictory energy is that on one level, it's about individuation. And on the other level, it's about finding the new people and new opportunities. So I think that you are keeping who you are a little bit secret at the moment. Or, as we come to the full moon, as the full moon comes through, you may be ready to sort of come out in a way and be seen more for what you've achieved and your independence. But it actually has the effect of drawing people in. Equally, like this is like the contradictory thing as well too. You're balancing out a feeling of like blocks to financial ability and actually, having the idea that brings financial freedom, financial security. So depending upon which is most relevant, I think there's something from your family background in particular that may have either blocked you emotionally or blocked you financially. And when I say emotionally, largely about your sense of independence. But in either case, you've found something, a mystery has been answered. You're ready to actually move forward and break that cycle. So that's really good. So what lesson is this sort of full moon as you kind of like now start to think about, can I come out of that carriage? Can I be seen a bit more? Because as they say, Leo wants to be seen, So what lesson are you meant to take from this? Two of Cups. Certainly if you're looking for love, that love is possible. The Fool reversed. The King of Cups. Oh, Queen of Cups and King of Cups. Definitely if you are looking for love, if it's separating out from other types of friends or family that weren't working to find your people, you're definitely going to do it. The Sun reversed. Okay. So there's a couple, again, like what is interesting in this, and it fits with the Chariot. The Chariot, amongst other things, is about balancing opposites, the head and the heart, all that kind of thing. So there is something in this energy for you to use the knowledge that you've got and the independence that you're being offered to make choices to balance opposites. Because on one hand, this is sort of talking about like kind of finding relationship, and there's a very positive energy. When you have the King and the Queen of a suit and they're both upright, if you're thinking about love, it's a very good sign. And it's not about gender. It's just that the two mature adults in the deck are in simpatico. They're the same sign and they're both upright. So that's very, very positive around that. So there's certainly, if some of this was around love and whether you can bring love in, absolutely. And it may be that it's coming via friends or family. You're going to find and meet that person. But you've got to come out of the carriage to do that. So there's definitely that kind of energy. But on the other hand, there is a thing here about that's okay to do that. But remember what you've learnt here. Don't let any kind of romance energy or anything like that stop you from following who you truly are. So I do think there's a thing here for Pile 1 where you have a very strong connection with your friends and family, but you also have a deep destiny and things to achieve on your own. And the thing is to get that into balance. And to think there must have been something around, your material choices or your romantic choices or whatever it is in the past, where relationship energy maybe kind of hid away who you truly were, and you weren't the one driving the carriage, and it's now time to drive the carriage. So whether this is about love or whether it's just about other good relationships coming in because it said it was happening, that's great. But remember your independence, because it's important not to go off your own path. You can have relationships but not have them divert you from your path. Okay, so what new energy, knowing this, is the full moon in Leo bringing for you? The Ten of Cups reversed, the Wheel. Oh, this is so interesting because the Wheel turned up as the other card across the board, and the Lovers reversed. Yeah, there's something, it's definitely about relationship, whether it's love or whether it's other relationships. I think that what this really has brought you, and if you understand the mystery of it and you understand the balancing of the opposites, there's like an aha moment where you can be more in control of your destiny, because that's a destiny card. And then the Wheel is kind of like the ups and downs of fate and fortune and so forth. So I think that there's a new, and it's a very positive one because the Wheel is upright here. You're heading into a new cycle. It's a very positive cycle. But it can't be the same relationship energy as before. Now, this doesn't mean, as I say, I don't think this is saying you've got to like kind of abandon your friends and family. I think it's just that what you should be looking for are different connections. There's new opportunities coming in, different connections that allow you to discover more about who you are and your path. Don't get diverted. I think you're a very other person-centered person, and that's lovely, but it can divert you from your own path sometimes. So that's important, I think. It's like there's a real achievement in you have managed to separate yourself out and understand enough about yourself not to have that around your current relationships at the moment, but new relationships are coming in, and this is the opportunity to show how you really are in charge of your destiny. So that's very positive. So let's get some planetary energies to see what other planetary energies are involved. So I'm going to do it generally first, and then we're going to use the Mercury Oracle. So we'll just get a couple of planetary pairings to see what other energy could characterize, what it is that you can celebrate, achieve, harvest, and so forth at this point, and be very proud of. You should be very proud of how you've got this into balance so far. Moon and Uranus, yeah, the emotional side of this and the emotional change. It could sometimes feel, again, like if you think about the way the Chariot is portrayed there, it might sometimes feel, particularly if you're still kind of hiding yourself away, so that what you're doing is not so seen in a way, it could sometimes feel it's a little bit out of control, like it's fast and out of control. So learning how to kind of focus your emotions. And I feel like the High Priestess connection to the moon there will really help you. Going within and understanding what it is you've discovered allows you to be more in charge of this, and not to feel like change is something you've emotionally sanctioned in a way, rather than something that you are just following along. And Moon and Venus, yeah, and then like how you love and the connections. So there's a lot about the moon, the High Priestess energy there. Now, I think the High Priestess is sometimes associated with Pisces, as I say. So that's sort of like liminal space and all that kind of thing. And there is something hidden and liminal about this, like in the understanding that you've come to. But more often than not, she's associated with Moon and Virgo. And I feel like that really connects here with the Nine of Pentacles. I feel like there's an integration point. The other thing that this is showing is you've integrated your emotions and how you can start to direct the Chariot through change to what you love and what you want, as opposed to what others might do. It's like there's some sort of integration emotionally that you've achieved, and as a result of that, you're able to steer the course and be a bit more discerning about how much you give to others and how much you keep to yourself, that kind of energy. So let's get the Mercury Oracle. Now, this is a very interesting oracle. It's huge. It's very intuitive, and it sort of just goes in whatever direction. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put out, to start with, 5 cards. A center card to give us a bit of an overall energy of what's going on with this for you, and then some cards surrounding it to show some of the other energies associated with it. So I'm just going to read this very intuitively. So the center card. Okay, stop. Now that's interesting. We'll have a look and see what else we get. So this might be, first of all, stop and sort this out before you rush into anything else. You've achieved these things. Don't let the horses sort of run away with you at the moment. Stop and think about it. So let's see why. Why are we getting stop? We have a sea nettle jellyfish. So that is like a spirit guide for you. Gemini. So yeah, connections with others. The two sides of you as well. Gemini is also, like when we have dualistic energies in ourselves. We have heal your past. So there's something about the past. You've achieved that, I think, but I think it's stop and understand that. And Uranus again. Okay, so there's definitely a sense here. Like, as I say, that chariot looked almost like it could like run without any guidance. So you are sort of hidden within and the guidance is there, and you have achieved a great deal of integration. So you're ready to be more independent and make choices that are more for you rather than just what everybody else expects of you. But I think it's saying that Mercury here, and it's interesting, Gemini, and Mercury are very closely associated. The mind part of you and the part that would communicate, if we think of Mercury in that way, is saying don't rush anything. So new people are coming in. Just stop. When you meet someone, stop. When we look at a jellyfish as being a sort of guide, I see that there is a lot of depth to this. You need to go to the depths, the emotional depths. That's why the moon is so important to this. It's not just that we're talking about a full moon, but for you, the moon is very important. What are the emotional depths of this? And what would make you feel like you could move freely? And find those that are like you, because, we've got 3 jellyfish here. And to do that, you need to heal something in your past. It's got something to do with how you dealt with change before. And I feel like with the Gemini card there, we're looking at, like maybe the face that you showed to other people and the face that you hid. So there's a part of you that's remained hidden. So there's something in this where you are able to now show who you are, but it's kind of stop and think about that. And don't be reactive in either way. Don't either think you have to push everyone away because maybe there were people who were too dominant in the past, nor think you have to accept everybody because somehow that's judging people unfairly. It's like, look at that. And look also for, I think, the difference between speech and action for people. Because like Uranus is like kind of all the action and the movement and so forth, and stop is saying that there's something. So when you're assessing those sort of things, stop and look for that. So let's just see what else we get around Gemini. I just want to see what else that's saying. Move your body. Okay. So Chariot, okay, is movement. So I would be saying this is telling me that for you, there's something within your body and your energy. And if you start to pay attention to that, it's going to be a really good barometer. You're someone who has a very strong bodily barometer. Pay attention to that. Let's just see what this particular spirit guide energy is bringing for you. Find spirit. Like your spirit is connected to your emotions and connected to really deep emotion here. In fact, some of what your spirit is, the core of your spirit, the heart of your spirit, may almost have been submerged for a long time, hidden and submerged, because that's what it felt like. So this is basically saying, one of the things you can achieve and harvest here is celebrate that you have got enough independence now to be more visible. But like you can always go within and find your spirit deep within because you have a very deep spirit. And so there's sort of like emotions and what your body tells you. Let's get one more card. We've had Uranus already, I think. So let's just get one more card about the past and then one more around stop, just for any other information around this. So around healing the past. Call it in. Okay, so I would say call this energy in, stop, go deep within, find your spirit, call that energy in, because that energy, you've done this before. This is the key achievement that you can celebrate at the moment. You have actually healed a lot of your past around this. You do not have to be caught in that particular cycle of activity again. Your body is going to be a great barometer, also watching what people do, but this is like a process. So let's just see one other card around stop. Employ chaos. Okay, so one of the things that this might be saying is one of the reasons that maybe you kind of put others ahead of yourself all the time is because you felt anything that was what was ordered, that was what was expected. So I think this was saying if you can go within and call in your spirit, you can play with chaos and decide what you want to do. So if you stop and you kind of throw everything up in the air and you look at it and you work out what makes sense to you sort of spiritually and also kind of, as I say, from that body instinct, you'll know whether to go yes, no. You'll know that kind of thing. It's like don't worry if this causes chaos with others, because if there is the right people for you, will not have a problem with that. So there's definitely, this is about, you've achieved something very profound, pile one, but now to use it, you've got to kind of almost keep applying the lesson. Keep applying the lesson. And don't be worried about the outcome. Just be worried about like the feeling and what your spirit is telling you. Okay. So one of the things I did think, and it'll be interesting in this case because it's so much about other people, is that other people are going to respond to what you show here because, you know, when Leo, as I say, shows things, demonstrates something. So this achievement you've done is going to impact other people. So we're just going to get an expression for what you might experience from different types of people in your life. Again, for you, the important message is that's only some information to take into account. And this is probably from people that you know because other people are coming in. So this is probably more from the people that know and would have seen the change. So firstly, expression around friends and family. And this, you know, what this is, the core of this is around friends and family. Okay, some are not going to like it. So there is a need for that. You may find some act out or have a bit of a tantrum about it. And I feel like that's more in family than anything, but it could be friends as well. But you will sort this out. You need to kind of work out who you can go forward with as an independent person who's also having their own say, you know. So know that some are going to, like, this is a shift. You're not being as focused on them. So that kind of makes sense. What about lovers? Lovers or potential lovers that you've met at this point. They just find it interesting. They're a bit neutral. What does this mean? I'd say a lover that you have, it might be there's a little bit of like, well, what does this mean for me? It's not as full on as friends and family, but a lover might go, you know, like, are you still going to stay with me? You know, what does this mean? Like, are we still going to be together? There could be a bit of that. A potential one might be thinking, oh, there's a change here. I can see a change. What does this mean? And then when we look at colleagues, business partners, all that kind of thing in the sort of work realm, that people there think it's really, really good. I do think some of this is about you having achieved something materially. Like, I think that is connected to it. I think you're sort of seen as aspirational. So whatever you do in this space, you apply it. And in fact, you may even have applied it first within the workplace and now you're doing it elsewhere. But there's certainly no push. It's not causing consternation there. So I think there's almost like a bit of a hint there for you that what you've done in the workplace or on a vocation, actually you've established that and done it first. And you've now realized and brought it up to the level of the closer relationships as well. So there's a bit of adjustment going on, but that's okay. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Just to know that that adjustment is going on. You starting to really, and it might be why, although Leo is a bit showy, we got that Chariot card, which felt like it was still a little bit hidden, but they can pick it up. But I think it's a process one has to go through. Employ chaos. It has to happen to get to the benefit and the new sort of like cycle that's going to be better for you. Okay, so to finish off, I just wanted to get you a blessing from the dragons because I don't actually have a card of lions, which would have fitted with, or a deck of lions, which would have fitted with Leo. But to me personally, when I was a kid, I either wanted to be, or I wanted to be a lion, and I, love dragons. So I sort of feel like dragon is a kind of similar energy in a way. So we're just going to get a blessing to close this out for you from the dragons. And we get mountains of gold. Protect what is dear to you with confidence and determination. I definitely think there's something material that you're achieving. Embrace an abundance mindset and let your self-assurance shine like golden rays around you, attracting the best into your life. Yeah. I mean, like some of it might be like the more financially independent you get, for instance, or the better you do at work with something's going on there. people feel like you're spending less time on them, or they feel, some friends might feel threatened and feel they're being left behind. Some lovers might be like, where do I fit now status wise? But you're meant to sort of have abundance out of this. You're meant to be developing, as I say, financial and material security connected to you owning who you are in more detail. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you, like pile 1, came to the Chariot just with a different image, a different sort of sense or energy around it, a different deck. There are some similarities between the two. So if you just on this first blush, it could be very different as we go through. But if you do feel drawn to both, then maybe check out pile 1 as well, because there might be some additional energy. What is kind of similar is it seems to have something to do with relationship energy and potentially material energy. So that's interesting. But what's different is that in the pile 1, for various reasons, a lot felt like mysterious and hidden. This seems very seen. The way that the Chariot is portrayed here is sort of someone skateboarding. They're out, they're in a competition. They're obviously doing well in the competition. People are watching them. So I feel as though this really embraces the Leonian energy of this particular full moon, because Leo wants to be seen. Leo's very performative. Leo is a sign often of actors and performers and people like that. You don't have to be that, but it's got that sort of energy. It's creative and it's vibrant and it's active and it wants to be seen. So there's definitely that sense. There's also a sense of kind of a freedom, flying above things on your own momentum, though, which is interesting. And when we think of skateboarding, there's a certain amount in, I guess, the curved sort of places that they tend to sort of perform, particularly in sort of competition, that gives some of the momentum, definitely. But at the end of the day, if you think about someone on a skateboard, apart from the wheels, they are very much directing it, and it's their momentum that takes something forward, and they're very much in control of it. It's very intentional. So I feel like for you, there's something that you are celebrating or achieving or something along those lines with the energy of the full moon that people see, and it is very intentional. It's very nuanced, I would say. It's highly skilled. Like, I think there has something to do with a high degree of skill associated with this, both physical and also sort of mental and strategic, and like very rapid responses to things. And then it's interesting what we look at here, because we have the King of Pentacles, which on the face of it, it could either be that this is something about being seen in a very, almost like a power couple kind of energy. So that either could be coming in for you if you're looking for love. You're going to find someone who's very skilled as well, very materially successful. That could be part of it. Your own maturity and your own ability brings that in. And if that's the case, it's very different to any kind of relationship before. You're leaving behind any past relationships that may not have fitted that kind of dynamic. Or it's about you coming into material, like wealth or security from very high degree of skills. And it's like leaving behind something in the past, which could be something like getting promoted to a management or an executive level in a job, when before you've been doing the doing, and now you're going to manage it because you've got that level of skill that you can actually kind of work on the business rather than in the business, that kind of thing. So I'm just talking about different ways this energy could operate. But it is definitely, there is a definite sense of closure about this. Like the full moon always has within it the harvest. But when you have the Six of Cups reversed, which is kind of like being very unsentimental about the past, not looking to the past, not wanting to go back to the past, we have the forward momentum feeling of the Chariot here, and the kind of aspirational energy of the King of Pentacles. I do feel that whatever area of life this is in, there is a major shift happening here. I think for most of you, in fact, you probably have other things going on in your chart that are about closing out something and a new beginning. It's not just this full moon, and it's probably one of the reasons why the full moon is very strongly activated for you. So let's see with the Akashic Truth Oracle, what kind of area of your life is this particularly focusing on? Health and wellness. Okay, all right. So that puts a slightly different complexion on that. But this is, like if you think about the Chariot here, highly skilled, highly athletic people. People who do skateboarding, all those things. There's a high degree of physical skill, stamina, flexibility, all of that kind of thing. So for some of you, you could be celebrating that, you've achieved a sort of new sporting prowess, you've achieved some sort of health goal, or you are just full of energy and direction and intention now. It's not a physical thing, it's just a sense of general well-being that is a lot different to what you've been doing before. And it's consolidated, it will last. Certainly anybody who is concerned about health issues, I think at the moment, can be pretty happy with this as a introductory spread, because it's suggesting that if you had health issues, you are firmly putting in the past with your own way of doing things. Like whether this is an exercise program or a diet or a change in like kind of wellness activities you do spiritually or whatever it is. And I hasten to add when I say this, somebody I once talked about an exercise program in a reading as being an example of something where we kind of commit to do something, but sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. And the person thought that, it was kind of like fat shaming. I'm not doing anything like that. It's got nothing to do with cultural norms about what one should look like or whatever. I don't ascribe to any of that. This only would apply if there's some reason that physically, I would say, if we're talking about physical health, wanted to sort of change body shape or body strength or whatever it might be. It's not sort of saying, oh, you have to do it, because this is something you've achieved. This is like you've actually achieved it. And there was a past condition that was probably quite emotional that that you needed to deal with. For some of you, it may even have been a past condition that was connected to family stuff, family sort of weaknesses, and you've actually mastered stuff to get beyond that. So when I was talking about this before, when the person thought I was, had other intentions than I had, I was talking about it because I'm dealing with a heart condition now, and there's heart stuff in my family. So I'm looking at lifestyle things that can give me an edge on not having to deal with that, which seems to be starting to succeed, which is great. So that could be it could be around health on that level. Otherwise, it could be emotional wellness. It could be wellness within a really stable relationship that's not like the past as well. So I think there's a number of ways this could be playing out. We'll firstly get just a piece of advice from the Akashic Record, which might give us a little bit of an idea about what's the main focus of this, but then we'll drill into it in more detail with tarot. So a bit of advice around using this positive energy. Forward movement. Yeah, that's about right. You've taken new empowered action in the direction of your dreams. Keep going. Identify tasks to reach your goals, including personal shifts such as mindset and release of emotional triggers. So there's definitely emotional stuff, but you're heading in the right direction. Like you've done a kind of almost diagnostic, whether it's like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and it's pretty spot on. And you're moving forward with intention and skill, and the outcome is likely to be very, very good. So let's see a little bit more about what this is with the tarot. Then we're going to sort of see what lessons have getting to this point, this harvest, brought you, and then what new energy can you now use, because after a full moon, the moon starts to head back to the new moon phase. So a little bit more about this achievement that you can celebrate now. Two of Pentacles reversed, King of Swords reversed, Eight of Wands reversed, Eight of Pentacles, Seven of Swords. Okay. Even if there's quite a bit of emotional stuff, and there could be with the Six of Cups reversed, and the advice around the health and wellness said that it could have had that, this is really a mindset change that then created an action change. So Two of Pentacles reverse suggests to me that you might have had a situation where you felt you didn't have the options, like you didn't even know what to do. And I don't think that advice was right. And it slowed you, and it made you feel slowed down. It made you feel like you couldn't move forward. But you took the decision, I'm going to develop the knowledge. I'm going to develop the skills. I'm going to know what I'm doing. I'm going to work out my own strategy. Like it really has the feeling of something, whether it's, like you go and see a doctor and they say, oh, well, we'll just put you on these 3 different pills for the rest of your life. And you think, I don't really want to do that. I want to look at other things. Something like that, and you went and did some research, and then you went back to the doctor and you worked out something that was going to work because you did the skill, you did the research. That's possible. I mean, I always say, like, listen to your doctor, but also, listen to your own body. So it's sort of like somehow finding that balance, because I feel like if it's something like that, it's you you were presented with some sort of situation where you feel you didn't have a lot of choice, but you actually did. And like once you realize that and develop the skills, you could then develop the strategy. So this is what this is about. You've got the strategy now moving forward. You are moving forward. It's positive. And that's say if it was about some sort of health thing. If it was about something emotional, then I think what this is saying is that somebody or something made you feel like you didn't have autonomy or the options and you needed to free yourself of that. The only way you could do that was to build the skill level so that it was you taking things forward. And what that then brings is you move from the King of Swords reversed to the King of Pentacles upright. And this is not gender based. It doesn't have to be a man particularly, but it's moving from a person that was very controlling potentially on your decisions in some way to your own sense of sovereignty about that. So it's like, I don't just sort of take, people's direction sitting down. I'm going to actually work out for myself what is the best path. And if I have to develop skills to do it, I'm going to do it. And that shifts you from a very past thing of like, doing what you're told or listening to what you're told to your own personal momentum. So well done in whatever it is. So then let's see around what lessons has this given you? Six of Swords reversed. Death, which is choice, as you know, not death. I think I just say that when we're talking about health. Ace of Wands reversed and the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so I think Six of Swords, what I feel about this is saying whatever this situation was, so it could have been very well meaning. The King of Swords mightn't have been bad, but like, so as I say, if a GP says to you, here's a strategy, they don't mean you harm. They want to help you, and it's probably a very conventional strategy. But it's like, it's always good to talk about lifestyle stuff. I think if it's a health issue, there was lifestyle things you could do as well. And then maybe it's a combination of the two. As I say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice, and we're talking here about something you've already achieved and realized. So I'm not really talking about something that's coming up. I'm talking about something that you've achieved and realized. So in whatever it is, I feel like it's not necessarily, a doctor's not necessarily meaning to do you harm. Even somebody who philosophically, whether it's in your career or something else, has said, no, you have to be this. Like a parent, a well-meaning parent might say, you're only going to be secure if you do this type of job and so forth, when you really want to do something else that was more creative or whatever. It can come from a very well-meaning thing through to coming from someone who's manipulative, and or depend on who comes to this reading as to which it is. But what you've learned is there isn't a right way. Like there isn't like, so if someone's telling you this is the only way to go, it's the only thing that will work, that's not true. That the important thing is to understand the implications of choice. What are the implications of choice? To slow down enough to do that, and then to look at it on a very pragmatic level. What would you plan to do? Because again, if you're thinking about a skateboarder as an example of this, it's such a rapid sport when they're doing it. But a good skateboarder, I'm sure, would survey the terrain they were in, would be thinking about what they were trying to achieve, would be thinking about their skill level, would stop before they wouldn't just jump into the first thing without checking it out. There's a kind of a thing of checking this out, understanding the terrain. So just slowing down just enough to do that, but doing it yourself, doing the plan. Like, what am I going to do physically here? Or what am I going to do materially here if it's about a job? So it's something like that. So I think this is the lesson for you, was slow down enough to realize nobody has the answers to this, to some degree, including you. But if you apply your skills and your own research and your own strategy, that's the best thing you can do. It's going to be the most successful. So, and the most sustainable, basically. So let's see, what new energy does this provide for you? If you've kind of had this aha moment, and I think that you've done something to prove this in some way, then the new energy coming in, Page of Wands reversed, the Lovers, the Two of Wands, okay, is really about, if the core thing around this was around past connections, relationships of any type, where they were a little bit too influential and they were a bit too limiting on what the choices were, is understanding that it's important to connect with the people who can see the direction you're heading in. Again, it's early. They don't want to tell you how to do the direction, but they support it. Not the ones that go, oh, you couldn't achieve that. You couldn't achieve that. So this is about choosing who to listen to. And I think that you've done something where you've gone, I'm going to listen to myself first, and I'm going to build my skills, and I'm going to build my knowledge, and I'm going to see what I can do. And then perhaps I supplement that with, professional expertise. Of course, whether it's health or a business or whatever it is, that's a good idea to do at some point. But if you go prepared with an understanding of the train and what you need to do, then you're going to be able to identify the people who are simpatico with that and then can bring their professional expertise to it. So I think this is it. It's a real aha moment about, your purpose, your direction, your body, your emotions. And that is the bit that you have to bring to the table and be skilled to bring to the table. And you've done that in something. And that's something really, really powerful. So let's see some other astrological energy around it. We'll get a couple of pairings of planets. Then we'll use the Mercury Oracle, as I said in the introduction, to see what Mercury has to say in an astrological reading this time around a full moon. So a couple of other kind of astrological energies. We have the Sun and Mars. Yeah, this is about your life path being the direction and being the action, and taking action, being the person who is in the driver's seat of your own life, your own career, your own bodily health, whatever it might be. Bodily autonomy, very important here, I think. And Venus and Pluto. If any of this is about finding love, then you may have been around someone who was not the right choice. It slowed you down, didn't make you feel good. This is about doing something completely different. It's a big revolution. But I also think it's a big revolution in what you find inspiring and beautiful. So there's something kind of beautiful about it. And I think, when you watch a really good skateboarder, there's something very beautiful about that kind of sense of liberation and energy. So I think I think we've got the Mars and Venus there. So there's certainly, if you are going to see this as a relationship energy, it's like understanding who you would truly want to be or who you would truly want to love, which could be part of it. It could be what's going on here, and it could be more around emotional wellness. Then that energy, you've got to kind of make sure that the change that you do fits with your life path and it activates your own power, your own ability, your own strength. Okay, let's see what the Mercury Oracle wants to do. This is a very highly intuitive deck. There's lots of cards. I'm just going to put down 5 to start with and then just sort of see where that leads us. So a kind of center card around this energy and then what sort of surrounds it. So firstly, the center card. Call it in. Okay, so there's something here about drawing in your own knowledge, your own wisdom, your own skills. It's like it's not, you can't outsource all of this decision making, I think, is what it's saying. Activate your intuition. Yeah, very powerful. You have powerful intuition. Intuition is really rapid thought. It's like connecting to what we know that we can't sort of articulate. We just sense it. And we often sense it very bodily, which is interesting. We have earth. Yeah, grounding it. It's a very earthy thing. And I think with the King of Pentacles, it's grounding this energy. It's making it sustainable. So some of this is about skill and momentum and so forth, wellness, all of that kind of thing that's sustainable and healthy. Go through the gateway. So that, we'll have a look at that. That's kind of like a place cut. It's like it's something to take us somewhere. So there is an opportunity coming to do something. You're ready for it. You've got the background. Don't let people tell you can't yet. And go through the mirror. Okay, well, that's interesting. So this suggests, going through the mirror to me suggests understanding. I think there is a kind of understand where the other energy is coming from, because I don't think for most of you it's malefic or bad. I think it's just a different perspective. And one of the things that one has to do is that sometimes when we are dealing with a viewpoint, particularly if it's talking about someone professional or something like that, and we don't want to listen to it, we can actually push it away and be just as dogmatic about what we intuitively think about it, and this is going intuition, as the professional is being dogmatic. So I think there's something here about understanding the other rather than just discarding them, but you still decide. It's like you take all of that into account. So you call in your intuition about that. You work out what is grounded, and then you decide and you go through the gateway. So let's just see a little bit about, first of all, a little bit more about going through the mirror. Dissolve all notions of self. Okay, so I think the first thing this is saying, like this is giving you a recipe for how to keep doing this. You've done it already. Pile 2. You have actually done this in some aspect of your life. You've broken old patterns. You've broken a sense of being limited in your choices that somebody kind of like suggested to you either very recently or maybe very early in your life. You've broken through that. You've developed the skills. You can do it. But what you've also learnt with this that is a valuable thing to learn is that we are all capable of becoming the dogmatic person that limited you before. So one of the things to do when you're calling in your intuition and deciding what you want to create, because you have a lot of creative and manifestation power here, is to dissolve the sense of self and look at it from a bigger picture and understand all the parties. Make that a skill to know. What about going through the gateway? Move your body. Yeah, like where you are. We've got the Chariot as someone on a skateboard. Your body is a really good way. There's something physical. Like I think what this is saying is there is something physical about this. Like there's like this aha moment. It's either come about by you doing something that has to do with your physical well-being, or if it's something else, if there's some other aspect in your life around your career or something. It would be something material, I think, with the King of Pentacles. But if it's something like your career or you know how you save money or whatever it might be, there's something here about your body and like just like getting control of and strengthening your body and moving it and so forth is kind of a portal for you. It's a way for you to access that higher order of skill and to develop that skill more rapidly. There's something about an interchange with you. So let's just get one more around activating your intuition. What should you be looking at or looking for to best use this energy going forward, this achievement going forward, because it is significant. Oh, just yes. Yes, activate your intuition. I just want to get one more. What are you saying yes about, Mercury Oracle? Connect to your body. Yeah. Over and over. This is very physical. Like it's either, as I say, it's a very physical thing here and it's a big yes. What you're doing is right. It's a prototype. But, you know, understand that like maybe the other advice was not badly intentioned and could have some value. It's not rejecting everything. It's, you know, it's like kind of like looking at it all, but then processing it through your body, what feels right in your body and so forth. But this is a very physical thing that I think would then have it's like a template that could create, you know, wealth, that could create anything. And if anybody is wanting to do something in the health space, you know, a healing space or something like that, there's something about what you've discovered and done that you could use professionally as well. And again, that becomes very important, to not become the next professional who thinks they have all the answers, but to remember the journey you went on and how that liberated you to have the right strategy for you. Okay, so let's see how other people respond to this. And this is other people that are around you at the moment, because this is, you know, you kind of celebrating and understanding. So if you had, you know, beaten some sort of like, you know, generational health issue or something through a different approach to your lifestyle or whatever, you know, family might feel a bit threatened by it, or they might feel in awe and want to do it as well, depending upon the nature of the energy within your family. Friends may think it's great, or they may think you've become obsessed. So like we'll just see what the energy is around it. So what do friends and family think, just as an expression of you celebrating this outcome? Yeah, I think they're not sure, because I feel like a lot of this might come from like, you know, other people's opinions or whatever about what you do. They might be surprised. I mean, I don't think, that doesn't feel to me like they're concerned for you. It's sort of like they're a little bit bewildered. I think you've achieved something pretty significant around this. And they might be thinking, oh God, maybe I could do that too. What about lovers or potential lovers? Oh, they think it's fantastic. Whatever you're doing, they think that's great. That you may well have found that you're sort of, whatever the approach is, you've sort of like included them as well. But you're definitely very attractive to as a result of this. And then what about workers, colleagues, the people that you work with, business partners, whatever that might be? I think they're I don't think this is around work at this point in time. It may become it, like you start to use that sort of skill and ability in work. But right now I think it's kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting, but it's not affecting them. Lovers think it's fantastic. Friends and family are kind of like just trying to sort out what's happening here. Um, and as I say, if it is something health-wise, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not telling you to ignore everything a doctor says or anything like that. But if you have combined lifestyle stuff with traditional GP stuff, go back to your GP, talk it through and everything, because I think, like a reasonable GP will see the benefit of that, and then you get a balanced outcome. But maybe someone thinking, oh, is this the way to deal with it? They're not sure. But that's okay. This is saying this is something you can celebrate and achieve, and it's like it is the right way to be going through. You're getting more and more in touch with your kind of body as a barometer for what to do, but understanding not to become rigid like what you've been dealing with. That's what this is about for you. Okay, so we're just going to finish up with a blessing from the dragons, because I felt like I was saying in pile one that when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a lion. So very Leonian sort of energy. But I don't have a deck of cards with lions in it, but I do have a deck with dragons, and I always loved dragons when I was young too. So I thought similar sort of like fiery, powerful energy. So let's get a closing blessing from the dragons for you. Alliances of the heart. Your life is your creation. It is your task to protect what you build and those you love. You are a powerful creator of your reality when you take on the role of loyal protector of love in your life. It's part of the reason probably why lovers look so happy. But others might be thinking, what does this mean? What are you doing? You may be shifting roles around friends and family because of the autonomy and the strength of what you do. You may be shifting into a role where they go from not being, really understanding it to actually benefiting from it. But this also connects to the right relationships. And I did sort of say it right at the beginning. There was a kind of a sense, if there is that, then there's something that's more stable and more healthy, and not as constrictive, with a King of Pentacles upright versus a King of Swords reversed. So it may well play out, the next phase of this may well play out around love, or enhance an existing love relationship in some way. But I really think this is about you discovering your skill and your ability and your autonomy to deal with your own health, your own wellness, your own productivity, all of those sorts of things. So well done you. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Wheel of Fortune. There were 2 other cards underneath that card. I didn't know what they were, intuitively chosen. And I had to chuckle when I saw what one of them was, because it's the Chariot. There's definitely something about Chariot energy in this full moon. That's all I can say. And Chariot to me ranges from destiny, taking your destiny, moving forward, balancing opposites, and forward momentum. So I think they're the kind of, it's almost the watchwords around this energy, full stop. So that's interesting. There's also a kind of a synergy across all of them as well, now that I'm doing the third reading. I think around autonomy, using your own skills and having your own sense of direction. So there's the Leonian side of this full moon is very much about who am I think. And now that I've got to the third reading, I'm just calling it because it's been the case across the board. And certainly, if you feel drawn to any of the other readings, there is stuff in there. There's some quite specific messages in each of them. So only take what really fits for you if you do look at anything else. But that's really the watchword. Like this is a achievements that are taking you forward in your destiny, who you are, and balancing the contradictions within yourself, giving you the momentum, being almost sort of like driven by that, but having the skill to do it with the 8 of Coins and working on the skills to do that is a very, very fortunate thing for you. So for this group, there's a very fortunate energy around it. I mean, like it is, normally full moons, we're closing things out, we're achieving things, we're harvesting, but sometimes that's just getting over something that was really difficult. And that could be part of this, but if that's the case, the wheel is turning. Whatever you're doing, you've learned a hell of a lot from getting to this point in terms of skill, and the importance of skill. and you're ready to really move. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if part of the achievement has been sort of like some sort of momentum moving in your career, moving in your love life, moving home and finding, a new exciting place to live. There's something like that. And there's a real sort of sense of fortune and fortune moving in your direction coming out of it. So, but it's fortune you've created yourself. This is what this tells me. It's not fortune that is just, the goddess Fortuna deciding, oh, I like you better than other people. It's not like that. Some people may actually say with this energy, it'll be interesting to see what we get, that you've been lucky rather than you've achieved it yourself. But if that's the case, no, you've got the skills and you've been working on the skills and you knew what you were doing. But, they often sort of say that, luck is the thing that people who haven't achieved say things are. Now, I think luck does exist and that can have something to do with it. But in this case, quite unequivocally, your skills, your dynamism is bringing in good fortune for you. It is not just luck, whatever it is that you're doing. But I just sort of feel you might, with these cards coming up, there might be some that go, oh, that person's just lucky. No, you're not. You do the work, you have the skills. You create your own luck. So let's see with the Akashic Truth Oracle, what's the area of your life that this is touching upon? Personal and spiritual growth. Now, of course, personal growth could be anything from like career, money or whatever, finding your sort of like destiny and going towards it in a very material way, through to, spiritual ascension, spiritual development and so forth. So we could be looking at any of it. But again, Again, this is something that you've done yourself, and personal and spiritual growth requires you doing it. It's not, you don't really get personal or spiritual growth just because some God decides they like you. Like you can get grace, grace as an energy can come sometimes without it really being deserved, but that's not this energy. This is something you've put work into and it's going to reap rewards. It's a very lucky energy. Let's just see what advice there is around personal and spiritual growth. There might be a little bit of a warning in here about how to deal with the energy, particularly if people are jealous. But equally, there just might be, some cheerleading information. So what do we get? Consider the options. You've narrowed your focus to one desired outcome and you might be missing a bigger opportunity. Open up and let the universe send you the highest possible result. Okay, so that puts an interesting complexion on this because you see like this going in one direction down one road. But I think what this is saying is that there could be a lucky option, or you feel like everything is kind of like just landing in your lap, and that's fine. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with going in this direction because when we get this, you've actually prepared for this and you're ready. But it's like, don't feel that then creates you. That part of this and part of the skill and what you've done proves to you that you can take advantage of an option, but it doesn't have to narrow everything else. So you could go, okay, this is a great option. I will go with that, but I'm going to keep my door open for other things as well because I know now I can develop the skills and the momentum to create what it is that I want to do. So I'm not a one-trick pony. It's not just only one thing and that's it. So I think there's an important energy here in what is the new energy coming in of knowing that one achievement in sort of one area of life doesn't mean that's the only area of life. So I think it's the one thing around this is, for your personal and spiritual growth, it's not an issue of resting on your laurels because I don't think you're doing that. I think it's just not narrowing yourself. There's that kind of thing that every choice we make makes us as well as we make the choice. So, but like if you remember what you did to create this, you can do it again. So we're going to use tarot. We're going to look a little bit more about what is the thing that you're celebrating now. We're going to look at what lessons you've learned from getting to that point, and we're going to look at what new energy is coming in. So a little bit more about what is this thing that appears probably to others as lucky, but it isn't. It's like you really getting the skills to go towards your goals. So what's this all about? Four of Coins reversed, Two of Swords, Eight of Wands reversed, Nine of Cups, Nine of Wands reversed. Okay, yeah, it's picking up the energy I'm talking about here. So I think there's something that feels lucky, and I do think that people are going to be a bit jealous. I do. There's a point later in this reading where we're going to look at how people react, so it'll be interesting to see if it shows up there. But I do think there's a little bit of like you you have created this and you know what you've done and you've created your own luck, but you're going to be around people who don't have your dynamism and your skill, and there's going to be some prickly energy because you're achieving something. If it hasn't already happened, it's happening off the energy of this full moon. It's like you can near enough to taste it, like the cake's there. So that, but the happier you are in that, the more other people might get jealous. So it is telling you that this is something, an achievement that others might call luck, but it isn't. It's very important to know it isn't. And because of that, um, something about this dynamic, you've let go of old sort of like material assumptions that maybe these people are still holding on to. You found a way through. Like it could be, just to give you an example, it could be, and God knows I'd love to be able to do this, you've understood the YouTube algorithm. You're a creator and you've understood the YouTube algorithm. So everybody else is still trying to like do the standard things for it. But you've got it. You've kind of like worked it out and you're moving forward. And others are just saying, oh, that's just luck. So it could be something like that. As I say, I do think, not so much luck, but I do think there's a kind of random pushing or not pushing of channels on YouTube. But even within that, I think there are ways of working with it. And I think that you, as an example, would have done that. And it doesn't have to be that you're a YouTube creator. It's just an example. But it's the type of good fortune that other people who don't understand the difference in what you've done consider luck. And you seem very happy with the outcome, and so you should be. Looks like this is the same person. Don't they look like the same person? Like the person who the Wheel of Fortunes worked for, and then they got all the cakes. So I think that's kind of you. And it even looks a bit similar as the person who did the work. So that's really interesting. But like you've done that. But what this is trying to say to you, and I think it's more to the point, and this is why there was the advice around the personal and spiritual growth. It's more to the point of what comes next, is that there are other things as well that you haven't seen or known yet. So don't go so fast towards one thing that you miss the scenery and what else you could do. Because I think there's something in before you had this aha eureka moment, you were the sort of person in doing like the kind of skill development, study and understanding that would have taken the time to really understand the environment you're in, the factors involved and so forth. If it's like a spiritual thing and you've reached a particular level, you did a lot of study around that. And in doing it, you made a choice about what area to sort of go in for the moment, but it doesn't mean you couldn't do it somewhere else. So it's really in your nature to stop and look around and try and understand the environment as much as you can, but you do need to slow down for that. So there's probably a bit of a balance of right now taking advantage of what feels like a lucky phase, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying that and doing it, but it's also don't make sure that you stop when you need to stop and consider for your next step. Because with this sort of energy, if you had a big win and then you sort of miss the next big opportunity or whatever, people will go, oh yeah, it was luck. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy from their perspective, and that could be a bit irritating. You've got the ability to do this, so Spirit is just saying be aware of that. So let's have a look at what lesson really to getting to this point give you. Excuse me. Page of Coins, Four of Swords, Two of Wands, the Moon. Okay, very spiritual. This is why we had spiritual growth in this. I think that like there's something about this that looks very material. As I say, people think it looks like luck. But it's probably a bit more like magic, to be honest, like a magical skill or a skill of getting to the depths of things and understanding what's hidden. I think this is sort of like very material planning, but also going within. Like I think you've learned how to look at the material world and go within to work out your direction, because you understand that there's the apparent way that things are done, which you have unsettled to be able to have this breakthrough. And then there's the real energy. So I think that this has taught you the value of the spiritual approach to this, of going within and following your intuition before you make a decision. And also stress testing it for, do I have the material out, do I have the skills and material resources to do this before you move forward? Also, I think not overdoing it, to be honest, because like you could overdo the cakes, you could overdo the the sort of like the Wheel of Fortune. You could overdo the motorcycle. There's a sort of a sense of like always allowing rest in this as well too. And it's maybe in the resting time, the sleeping time, the contemplation time that you can really do the exploration of other alternatives, because it's kind of, you have learnt there's more to things than people think, and particularly spiritually. So what new energies is going to give you? High Priestess, yeah, very spiritual. Very, very psychic, I'd say. It's part of it. Ace of Cups, like a new desire, a new dream, Knight of Wands, and the momentum, the momentum to go for it. Like there's something in this where you've, as I say, it's more like magic than anything. It's like, and I mean magic with a K, like the true magic. I feel like it's the amalgamation of spiritual understanding, belief, energy, and aligning with your purpose with the material outcome that you want. And it comes from the heart, like, everything coming from the heart. But like you know the value of the hidden knowledge. You've really worked on that, and that's your momentum. That's your fuel. That's why people think it's luck. It's not luck. It's magic. So that's interesting. So let's have a look at some other astrology that could be impacting this. So a couple of planetary pairings, and then we're going to use the Mercury Oracle, as I said in the introduction. So a couple of other planetary pairings that tell us a bit about the energy of this full moon in Leo for you, pile 3. Mercury and Venus. You will probably need to understand on an intellectual level how people are responding, because some are going to be tricky with this, but you have more than enough capacity to be charming. This person looks very charming, actually. Like, I think you have a lot of charm. So if people are, and there's also, I think, understanding and being generous with that. If there are people who are going, oh, it's just luck, instead of getting irritated with it, you kind of understand it, because these people don't have the inner knowledge that you have. But yeah, you have a lot of charm. So that will get you past a lot of this. And Mars and Chiron. Okay, with the Four of Swords, which looks like convalescing there, and with this sort of reaction from others and the amount of energy, I do think there is a thing here of don't overdo it in terms of action. I don't think it's so much about how other people respond there. I think it's like, make sure that you rest and recover. There's a lot of dynamic energy here. It's like you're going to want to strike while the iron's hot, and there's a lot to be said for that, but make sure that you don't overdo it, that you don't burn out. This is a very fortunate time for you, but you've created it. I think if you understand you've created it, you won't feel the urgency that could burn you out. You'll go, okay, I will enjoy it and I will do what I can, but once I need to go back within and dream it all up again, I can do that. I think that's what this is saying. Okay, let's have a look with the Mercury Oracle. Highly intuitive oracle. We're going to put down 5 cards, a center card and 4 others, and then see what else we might need. So the center card, firstly, is a bit of an overriding energy around this, and we have embodied light. Yeah, well, with all that wands energy and the fiery energy and the coloring, there's a lot of light energy in you. As I say, and it's light magic too. It's like it's white magic, light magic. There's nothing sort of morally ambiguous in what you're doing. We have Pluto. Having said that, you can go to the depths, and it's very powerful. That's what I'm saying. It's magic. This is the reading of a magician, whether you realize it or not. And we have practice dreaming. Yeah, this is the thing. There's a lot of information comes through to you in the liminal space, in the dream state, it's very important to keep going back and doing that. Rise above it. Yeah, I feel like that's the same sort of thing. And also rise above the jealousy, because you are going to have jealousy. Go towards the rose, go towards the heart. That will make you forgive that energy, so you don't get embittered by it. But you can rise above the pettiness of it, because there is going to be some pettiness around it. And do not forget. Okay, do not forget how this happened and what you saw in the dream space. Like, keep a dream journal or something like that. I think a lot of information comes through for you on that level. Let's just see a little bit more about do not forget. Like, what is that really trying to tell you? No divine timing. Okay, if you go back and to the degree that you can, because you may not have kept a dream journal or anything like that, but to the degree that you can, if you can remember like dreams or signs or synchronicities that seem to fit with this building, then try and note that down. Because I think there is a lot of divine timing around it. Like part of your magic is you're connecting in with divine timing. And if you can start to see it, and like it's interesting, it's been displayed there with astrology. So astrology is really important to you. Like these astrology readings are probably really important to you. But like if you don't study astrology, then at the very least get your astrology chart done. And I would suggest for you getting like a solar return at the very least done each year, because I think you are much more in sync with all of that than you realize, but it would give you even more information and you'd start to see the patterns. Let's see what else you meant to find in the dream state. Uranus, okay, the momentum to change. It's showing you that. So there's something a little bit prophetic about it, I think. When you look at something like Uranus, because it's like a lightning bolt, it's like the new, the shock of the new, the shock and awe, new ideas, new inspirations, all of that sort of stuff comes in through the dream state. And I think that is often kind of prophetic of the energy that's coming in. So also, where is Uranus in your chart? Pay attention to that and what's going on with transits to your Uranus, or where Uranus, where Uranus transiting Uranus transiting Uranus connects with your chart. Let's see what Pluto's trying to talk about, because deep transformative energy. Recognize other realities. Like, yeah, you are the magician. You are the magician. I just want to see rise above it as well. Like a lot of what you create, your skill, your magical skill is building. And a lot of what you create in the world, which seems like luck, is magic. But it's like the more you explore this, you need to keep stopping and taking the time to do it, the better. And then Taurus, yeah, like so rise above, okay. Rise above the kind of petty competition, because like Taurus is, again, a wonderful sign. All signs are wonderful. But Taurus is about the good life. And people often associate it with Dionysian sort of like excess and all that kind of thing. And like, status and privilege. So I think you're going to get that out of this, whether it's immediate or whether it's just like this process is going to build more and more like that. So you need to rise above petty competition, like that side of Taurus, like so that you can then find the good life that's connected to the true spiritual purpose. So very interesting. Okay, given all of that, we were going to have a look at how other people are responding. And I do think some are jealous. Whether it'll show up in this, I'm not sure, but I think you are going to experience it. We're going to look at expressions. So from friends and family, from lovers or potential lovers, and from workers, colleagues, business partners, that kind of thing, for how they respond to this, what, as I say, a breakthrough of what appears to be great luck, but is actually magic. So friends and family, yeah, jealous as, I've got to say. Some of you might have like sibling rivalry or something like that to deal with. But yeah, this is something you're going to have to rise above, pile 3. It doesn't necessarily come from a bad place, but like other people are feeling frustrated, either in your family group or around friends. What about lovers or potential lovers? They're watching to see what happened. They're trying to figure out what's going on. That's a very interesting expression. It to me, it could go either way. A potential lover or a lover could be like, oh, that's interesting. How did you do that? And then they smile and become interested in it and like learn from that. Or they could be like, what can I take from that? So I think it very much depends on, who's around you in terms of love as to how, I almost feel like the important thing there is the next expression. But they've realised something about you. There's something mysterious about you. And then what about workers? So they're not thinking it's luck, actually. I don't think potential lovers are thinking it's luck. They're trying to work out what it is. What about colleagues, people you work with, business partners, any of that kind of thing? It's a lesser energy of that. It's not as, it's mainly friends and family that are jealous, I think. There's a little bit of it potentially with the people that you work with, but I feel like the people that you could work around, again, there's a potential that the next expression from that could be, wanting to learn from you or wanting to collaborate with you in a very positive way. Or it could be like, of course, that person that works for them, the rest of us have to kind of just deal with day to day or whatever. It depends. But I think that this energy is, as I say, it's wonderful in many ways, but it does trigger kind of a little bit of dismay and jealousy. So you just need to be aware of that. And because Leo is very visible, this is very visible. Okay, so last but not least, let's get you a blessing from the dragons. Because as I said in the other two readings, Leo makes me think of lions. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a lion, but I don't have a deck full of lions. So anybody out there wants to make one, that'd be really cool. So since I don't have a deck full of lions, the next best thing for me is dragons, because dragons were the other sort of energy that I felt really strongly connected to when I was young. And I think there's a kind of similarity. Lions with the sort of like the fiery, king of the jungle type of energy, and dragons with the king of the air type of energy. So let's just get a final blessing for you around this from the dragons. So that would very much fit actually with someone who's a magician, to be frank. No limits. You are the master of your destiny, and the universe supports you on your journey. Let go of fear and be guided by your inner wisdom. You are free to pursue and achieve your dreams. Start today. Yeah, you're the magician. You probably got a strong dragon guide, actually. Makes me think of that show, Merlin, young Merlin meeting his dragon. But anyway, there's something like that for you. So very fortunate, but you do have to be aware some people are going to try and write it off as something else. But don't worry about this. You are the magician, either coming into a full bloom, or you are the magician on your path towards being in full bloom. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.